What's up, guys? I'm Mike from StockedUp, and welcome back to the Stocks with Mike and Tom show. We have an awesome episode for you guys here today. We're going to be talking about some of our Super Bowl stock picks, some inflation data, and just some picks overall for the rest of this week. At the end of the video, we have a $5.2 million options trade. If you guys are new here, make sure to subscribe. Tom and I post brand new videos every single day. But with that being said, Tom, what are you looking out for in the market for this week?
Yeah, the first things I'm looking at are really the Super Bowl stocks. There's a lot of gambling expected with the big game coming up today, and some good stocks could be like DraftKings, GAN, and MGM. And MGM is actually pretty big because the MGM Bets is becoming a pretty big app on phones and just for sports betting in general. So you can see how much, for example, MGM has really upticked over the past few days heading into the Super Bowl. And if we see big data, like there might be more Super Bowl bettors than normal or like the most in history, that could really help these stocks do pretty well. And man, the Super Bowl is just a pretty interesting subject here. Who do you have winning, Mike? I personally have the Bucks.
I have to go with my guy Brady too. I mean, he's going for his seventh Super Bowl. I mean, I think it'd be awesome for him to win another one, especially given his age and then switching teams and all that stuff.
Yeah, and the sports betting really has the Buccaneers favored to lose, which is actually pretty interesting. Kansas City's a pretty good team. They're pretty tough too, so it's just going to be a pretty awesome game. But there's also a lot of stuff coming up this week where Janet Yellen says the U.S. could return to full employment next year if Congress passes the 1.9 trillion stimulus. And also, they're looking to change the amount of money that you have to make in order to get the stimulus check. Right now, it's at $75,000 in order to get the $1,400 check, but they're looking to drop that number down to $50,000. And some Democrats don't agree with that. But as far as Yellen saying that we could get to full employment next year, she said in quotes, "There's absolutely no reason why we should suffer through a long, slow recovery." During CNN's State of the Union interview. And again, she said that I would expect that if this package is passed, that we would get back to full employment next year. And if that's a true thing and we can get back to full employment, that would be awesome. But man, it seems like it'd be pretty tough to get back to pre-corona levels, no matter what type of stimulus package is passed.
For sure. I mean, there's a lot of interesting catalysts on the table right now. I mean, that is a $1.9 trillion stimulus. And I know just the government in general and politics were going back and forth. So that I remember like the Republicans, what was their bill at? Was it like, I want to say like 600 billion or something like that? And the Democrats,
600 billion. And then they had it at 1.9 trillion. So it was like a big difference.
Yeah, for sure. So, we'll see what happens with that. But was there any other major news?
Yeah, there's actually some inflation data that could possibly come out this week. And man, the markets are almost, the Dow is almost at all-time highs. The S&P, at least the S&P futures here, are at all-time highs as well. And investing.com reports that market watchers will be paying very close attention to Wednesday's CPI data amid growing expectations that an uptick in inflation could be larger and longer lasting than the Federal Reserve is currently anticipating. And U.S. Treasury investors are betting on rising inflation as the U.S. economy returns to normal levels in the second half of this year after contracting at its deepest pace since World War II in 2020. So that's a pretty big statement. The market contracted at its deepest pace since World War II. So that's a pretty big number. That's a long time ago as well. There's been a lot of big events coming over that time, and man, we're at all-time highs right now in the market, and these numbers are starting to get a little bit scary. We might be due for a little bit of a pullback over the next couple months.
For sure. I mean, like you said, we are at all-time highs. We have some interesting catalysts on the table. And, we're getting towards the end of earnings season. So I know we had two big stocks report earnings last week, which were Amazon and Google. Do we have any other big ones for this week?
Yeah, this week we're actually looking at Hasbro, Chegg, and then there's also on Tuesday we're going to have Canopy Growth, which is pretty big with the new administration being in and marijuana stocks doing a little better. Corsair, which is a good stock, they're coming out on Tuesday before open as well, ticker CRSR. But Tuesday after close we have Twitter, Cisco. Wednesday we have GM, Coca-Cola, which is a long-term hold for a lot of people. And then we also have Zynga, Uber, iRobot, Pepsi on Thursday, Disney on Thursday after close, as well as Aora Cannabis. So it's just going to be another big week. Cloudflare is even reporting, which is a pretty big one as far as the cloud networking and stuff like that goes. So it's going to be a pretty big week as far as earnings go. And I just think that it's gonna definitely affect the markets this week. But the thing is I think that Twitter and the marijuana stocks are my favorite ones to watch.
For sure. I was going to say I'm mainly watching CGC, which is Canopy Growth, and that's on Tuesday morning. So these marijuana stocks have been doing amazing for like the past year. And I'm very excited to see if they can keep running up with earnings. You know, like they had such a huge run up, and, you know, I'm just very excited to see what type of numbers they report. But with that being said, Tom, do you want to get right into our Discord member of the day? Today's member of the day is PK351V. So this person is new to the Discord, and so far has been extremely positive and just a great member overall. So we just wanted to give a huge shout out to PK351V. Thank you for all of your positivity. But let's get right into our momentum plays for tomorrow. The first one we're looking at is FCX.
Yeah, with FCX, just go ahead and make it pass above $32 or $32.03 if you want to be really technical. But I think this stock could really run, and I really like the movement above the SMAs as well.
Sounds like a plan. With the next one, we have ExxonMobil to the upside.
Yeah, that ZOM up. I mean, a lot of people expected this one to fall, but go ahead and make them pass above $50.20.
Sounds good. Next one, we have Zoom to the upside.
Yeah, this one's been moving very well on a daily chart, but make them pass above $421. And if we go to that daily chart, you can see how it really broke out of the long-term trend and bounced off of that awesome support at $350.
Yep, I mean, I know that we've been talking about Zoom like for the past month or so, how we like it for a long-term hold, and it's showing a lot of potential right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see this thing run up to like maybe 450 over the next 2 weeks. Overall, it's showing a lot of potential in my opinion, and I really like it for a long-term hold. But for the rest of the momentum plays, basically, we are just eyeing these plays. If they break above the levels Tom listed, we're eyeing them for quick in and out day trades. But with that being said, let's get right into our $5.2 million trade for this week. We are looking at the Zoom 450 strike calls that expire this Friday, February 12th. So overall, I really like Zoom right now, and I think that Zoom can run up to 450. I think this is more of a speculative trade, because it is about $30 out of the money. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little speculative as well. They could be getting calls with how good of a day we had on Friday with Zoom. I mean, it was a very good Friday for the company. Man, it's very hard to say with this one. A 450 is pretty far away. I would have to think that these are some covered calls or they're shorting these just given how far away they are. But also maybe they're just getting far away because they're just not willing to pay as much. But whenever you have $5.2 million, that doesn't make too much sense.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like looking at the movement, like I want to say that they're longing these calls, but then you look and you see that they're $30 out of the money, and it's a weekly too. So it's a little bit of a confusing situation, but overall, it's definitely on my watch, and I think Zoom can continue up over the next couple weeks, and especially over the next couple months/years. But let's get right into our questions from the previous episode. With the first question, we have Bravo saying, thumbs up, love the show. Take a look at UNH. So let's take a look at UNH. They actually had a pretty bad day on Friday, down about 1.5%. Overall, it is kind of like one of those slow and steady stocks that has a great history behind it. It's kind of like a value stock, so I like it for the long term. For the short term, it looks like they just broke below a 330 support level, and that's pretty bearish. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it broke right below that support and actually was moving on the purple 100 SMA here on my chart and just broke right below it. And you can see in the past, it's pretty much hit pretty close to that SMA and then went up, and it's starting to actually break below. And just given how many tests we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, this is the 5th test of that SMA on the way up here. So I would just have to assume that with that big red day going through that we would continue down at least in the short term. But there is a pretty good support here around $323 where it's hit in the past, and I really like 323 and then 307 is good supports.
Good stuff. With the next question, we have Landon saying, great video. Take a look at Workhorse. So WKHS. This stock had just an amazing past month, you could say. Overall, soared past all-time highs on Thursday. I like it for the long term. For the short term, I'm kind of neutral. Like I definitely wouldn't bet against it, but I just don't know how much more momentum it has left in the tank. You know what I mean?
Yeah, these EV sectors are just really showing how powerful they are, especially like Workhorse here. A lot of people, I think, were expecting this one to kind of fall after it hit $30, but it just continues to show their strength, and they're all the way up to 43. And man, just like you said, it'd be very hard to go against this stock, but it's up so much that it's almost starting to look like it was looking back in June and July whenever it ran up so much, and then just kind of went flat for a couple months. So just maybe watch out for a little bit of flat movement or just some consolidation.
True that. With the next question, we have Raphael saying, good stuff. Thanks, guys. Let's go DraftKings and Apple. So, two powerhouse stocks. I love DraftKings and Apple for the long term. And DraftKings had an amazing week last week. I know you're calling it out pretty early last week, Tom, about a potential run up before the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what we saw. And I'm curious to see, like, if DraftKings comes out with some numbers, like after the Super Bowl, and like if they can continue to run up.
Yeah, I honestly think that the sports betting industry is just growing and growing. And I think that all this integration with online stuff and some states really starting to like legalize it and stuff like that, I think that's really going to help the numbers here this year on the Super Bowl. And the big thing is DraftKings is like right around all-time highs. Just make them pass above like 64.50, or if you have to go a little higher, just make them pass above 65 and treat it as a good momentum play. But I think that it would be a pretty good runner if they post those good numbers.
And then what are you thinking about Apple? Like I know that the Nasdaq is at all-time highs, but Apple's lagging behind just a little bit. I know they reported a dividend on Friday, but do you have any thoughts there? Like I know they're kind of mid-ranged. I'm seeing like an ascending triangle pattern on the daily. You seeing anything?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really watching that support there around $130. I think that's going to pose as a very key level in the short term, anyways. You can see it hit that in the past when it tried to run up here, and then it kind of exploded through that. And this was the 130 was kind of the center of this consolidation level where it consolidated for a couple weeks. I just think that that's a good support to watch, and I think that if we can just kind of continue this little trend back to the upside here, we could start retesting highs with the Nasdaq, like you said. And for the long term, though, I really like Apple, and especially with like that iCar announcement, that just has so much upside potential for this company that's already doing amazing.
For sure. And with our last question, we have Smita saying, you guys are the best. Can you please review PACB and NIO? So PACB, we have a bioscience company. Looks like this is just doing great. Went from about $2.20 all the way up to almost $42 in the past year alone. They do have earnings coming up though. So if you are going to play this for the short term, I'd be extremely, extremely careful. Earnings are a complete gamble. There's a lot of opportunity to play the run up before earnings and then the momentum after though.
Yeah, and I think that this stock could be pretty good for the long term. And if they do drop on earnings, that could be a pretty good opportunity to start picking up some shares.
For sure. And then also NIO.
Yeah, NIO, that stock's been doing pretty well and consolidating. Hopefully they can kind of pull a workhorse and just continue their momentum to the upside, but really just watch for good support here around 54.50 on NIO. This was the low over the past few days, and I think that would be an awesome level if they broke below that to maybe grab some puts. But with that being said, I'm hoping that it holds this support, and then we can start to kind of retest maybe $61 and $62 over the next week.
Good stuff. So I do like NIO for the long term too. I think this is a pretty good stock to do some cash secured puts on. But with that being said, Tom, do you have any last minute stocks, options, or any insight for the market for this week?
You know, with all the stimulus bill fighting and all that stuff going on, I'm really going to be watching the VXX. You know, it really tried to pop like a week or two ago whenever we had that news going on, and it kind of hit like the $22 resistance up there, which is pretty interesting. It's been trading between the $16 range and the $22 resistance over the past couple months. And man, it's right on that $16 support again, just about. And I think it could be a pretty good pickup, especially if like some political stuff, like with the bill or something like that starts to heat up, that might make VXX go up. And plus we have that treasury, that data coming out about inflation on Wednesday. So that could really affect the VXX as well. So if VXX kind of holds this support over Monday and Tuesday, it might be decent maybe to pick up some calls heading into Wednesday.
Good stuff. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to trade with Tom and I every single day, plus get access to the day trading bots and all that good stuff, click the first link in the description down below. We are doing a sale on the program. If you have any questions, let us know in the comments down below. And if you are new here, don't forget to subscribe. We post brand new videos every single day. But other than that, thanks for watching.